And also, I'm going against the grain here. I have a lot of time for Sheena. I have zero time for Brock, okay? And I think it's crazy that Sheena married him. It's crazy that she has a kid with him. It's none of my business. I'm sorry, Sheena, because I actually support all of Sheena's rights and Sheena's wrongs. She's so unintentionally comedic. She bought a penguin for a guy she was in a situationship with. She's hilarious. She keeps it together. And actually, she's friends with everyone. Bring her in.
Welcome to Sunday Lunch, Reality Served, where we discuss reality TV, pop culture, and what distracted us this week. Hello, Jessie.
Hello, Sophie. How are you?
I am very well, actually. It's going to be a big Sunday lunch. I think we have so much to discuss. So yeah, I'm feeling pumped. How are you?
I'm good. I'm feeling pretty pumped too. Yes, it's a big episode. So today we're covering Ultimate Girls Trip, Orange County. There's a few episodes to catch up on, and the final Valley reunion episode. And if we get time, we'll have a little quick tete about the Salt Lake City trailer that's dropped.
Yes.
There's so much distracting us too, Sophie. Do you want to give a quick summary of all our distractions? There's a million.
Well, Jessie, I have been struggling because it's more about what isn't distracting us this week. It just feels like it's a very busy news cycle. So obviously we've got a ton of great reality to talk about. Then I'm like, there's Clancy trial. I know we've already spoken about that, but there's been many development. Then there's the Tupac trial. And as you know, my first love, there's the Meghan and Harry news. There's the absolute debacle around the Sydney Swans. There's the dark rabbit hole I went down around Hayden Panettiere, and all roads lead back to Bravo with Ava Dash, with Diana Jenkins. There's all of these things. I caught up with my girlfriend Renee this morning. I was like, I don't know what I'm going to say in terms of distractions. And she's like, you just need to round it all up. Shout out Renee. To rabbit holes. But anyway, so then, yes, we've got so many distractions. Obviously, we're not going to be able to cover them all. I just needed to verbally diarrhea that to you. And then we'll get to our recommendations. So yeah, quite the chat today.
It is. It's a bumper episode. So quickly before we jump into all that, my love, what is in your cup today?
I'm excited to show you what's in my cup today. So for those that can't see it, it sounds like this. My dad picks the fruit that goes to Cardi's to make the cordial that I love best. Cordial. So it went on the shopping list this week from I don't know who, so I bought it. It is sugar-free cooler, like a lime, and it's actually really yummy. And so after your advice around my Hydrolite and how much salt is in those, I actually think this might be better. What's in your cup, Jessie?
What's in my cup? Well, nothing healthy at all. So everyone feel free to judge. Oh God, I have been like living on caffeine this week for reasons which I won't go into for now. So I've got my Coke Zero with ice because I love it with ice. But Soph, I'm so proud of you for trying something new to like keep your water intake up, but not. So yeah, when I was staying with Sophie for Hey You Fan Fest, she was very thirsty. And I said, look, I didn't want to say this like until we were in person, but Hydrolite really is for replacing if you lose a lot of salt or if you're exercising and sweating all the time. And admittedly in Brisbane, you probably do sweat a fair bit, but not enough to have that much Hydrolite.
And then I looked up Barocas, but they also have a lot. So then I was like, I really need an alternative. And I used to just drink plain water. And I think that's what I need to get back to. But anyway, I saw a little bit of Cotties there and I thought, really thought about getting my Coke Zero out and adding a shot of vodka to it, to be honest. I was like, I am happy.
We are all having a week. And actually, we didn't get to try our, is it a Texan cocktail, the Diet Coke?
Yeah, our Josh drink.
That's it. We didn't get a chance to do that. So look, we're all just doing our best. But look, good on you for supporting it. Hopefully still Australian brand. But look, we've got our cups are full. We're here. We're excited. We have watched so much reality in the last few days since we got back. Should we start with, let's do a quick roundup of the Valley final reunion episode because honestly, not too much happened. Sophie, I can give you a quick rundown.
That would be amazing, please.
Perfect. First, I have a very light-hearted bone to pick with Sophie about our good friend, Janet Caperna.
Friend of the pod, Janet.
Friend of the pod, Janet. Now, we do support Janet. We support her rights. Sometimes we support her wrongs. That's fine. I wanted to see what Sophie thought of this tiny little moment that my little eagle eye picked up on. So there was some lovely chat, not enough chat in my opinion, with Jasmine about her wedding to Melissa, which happened off season. And it was just beautiful. They were saying, who was the best dressed out of all the cast. And like Jasmine was saying, look, it was the most beautiful day, best day of her life, which weddings are. And that was wonderful to hear. She said, I don't know who was best dressed. I thought Melissa was. I just looked at Melissa all night, which like made my heart swell. Like talk about
But also,
romantic.
shouldn't the brides be the best dressed? Like, what? Who talks about best dressed wedding guest? Shouldn't they all the attention just be on the brides?
Yes. And I have some subtext to add to that question. So this is my little bone to pick with sweet Brisbane Janet, is that we've just adopted her into Brizzy now. So Jasmine made this sort of very throwaway comment when Andy asked that. She said, look, I just looked at Melissa, da-da-da-da-da. And I was like, and then she said, and I know I said, you know, I don't want anyone to look better than us, the brides. Don't wear bright colors. Don't wear this. She's like, but at the end of the day, I didn't care. Everyone looked amazing. We had the best day. Now, then they showed a photo of the cast with the brides. We saw KRISTEN, in like a darker color, Brittany in a darker color, all the men in darker color. Everyone was in darker colors. Guess who wore fire engine red?
Oh my gosh, Janet, did she?
She did.
Why couldn't she just stick with her brown? We know you love a bit of brown, Janet.
I would have thought this darker coded wedding was her absolute Disneyland. She could have picked any shade of brown. Now, let me say, she looked amazing. Janet, you looked hot. It had a cutout mesh panel under her boobs as well. Like it was a very sexy fire engine red dress. It was not like a magenta. It was not the color of my walls. It was fire engine red. And I was like, Janet, you naughty girl.
No, she wants that main character energy. And look, I think most of those other girls were bridesmaids. So like KRISTEN was a bridesmaid. So was Brittany. He was a bridesman or whatever they call them. What's his name? This is not all of them. They're basically all brides and grooms, whatever. So I assume they were all wearing the same color, were they?
Well, yeah, I think Brittany and KRISTEN were in the same color, but it was just telling to me that Jasmine let that slip. And then they were talking about, has Jasmine and Janet's friendship improved? And they were both saying yes. But then the producers are so shady because then they flashed up a photo of just Janet and her husband from the wedding again in this bright red dress. I was like, oh, they've got you.
The shade. Okay, thank you. I will cop that one on the chin, Jessie. And just speaking of people looking amazing, I know not everyone can see right now, but your hair looks amazing, Jessie. Something new's happening.
Something new has happened, you guys. I realized that, I just can't have the long hair. I was always going to have a hot bob summer after book tour, but I thought I need the extra length for tour. But then I looked at it after Hey You and I was like, no, it's time. And who should I notice? I mean, we actually did talk about this, is that I've got the Heather Dubrow fancy pants haircut.
It suits you so well. It looks amazing. And the hairdresser did a great job. So if you aren't watching, we'll have to put like a picky up on the socials.
Yes. I mean,
Okay,
I think
now fill me in.
Oh, I'll fill you in. Okay, so there wasn't much in episode 3. There was a lot of KRISTEN apologizing for her loose mouth. Like, she's always loose lips, sink ships with KRISTEN. And honestly, I do believe her. She's like, I don't know why I told Brittany in that Halloween episode that, she said it she's like, I knew I said it. She's like, and actually 10 minutes before I had told Nia that I'd said it. So Nia already knew I said it. And then for some reason, I'm in the kitchen. She's like, and I'm denying it. I don't know. I did feel that Luke was a little bit rude to her again. There were a lot of under the breath comments happening around the cast. And on that note, it reminded me of, they seemed like they were all trying to behave, like they're a class of naughty kids and they've been told they have to behave. So they were letting the person talk, but then whispering under their breath instead of interrupting. So the vibe was kind of very high school. It was quite funny. Other than that, there was a little bit like more argy-bargy with Michelle and Jessie, which like flog a dead horse. I'm over it. We're done with them.
Yeah.
So.
Yes, we are. We really are. You know what it makes me think of though is just how you said you think they're on their best behavior. I had sort of thought about this a while back. I can't remember what reunion it was, but it might have been a Valley reunion. But I was like, these younger casts are showing up better at the reunions than the Housewives. Like the Housewives just show up and like scream and try to persuade everyone of their point without any actual listening. And then these younger casts, like In the City or Summer House or these guys, I just remember already clocking that thinking, you are so much more evolved in your ability to listen and take some level of accountability than the Housewives.
I agree. There's a lot less screaming in these younger cast reunions. And like you've got to wonder if it's partly that the Housewives reunions, they want to give you a big reunion with big moments. And so they kind of like ham it up. And the other part of me is like, no, they're probably just full of rage because they're 20 years older and they've had enough. Like,
Yeah,
like,
they're jack of it. But I also think like I do empathize more with Kristen and her just saying like I don't understand why I was like that. And it's loss of sleep will ruin you. And she during this whole time would have been getting no sleep. And I'm going to try not to talk about the Lindsay Clancy case in relation to everything because I'm just getting angry and angry about it. But a part of that was the fact that she was not getting any sleep, like maximum 1 to 2 hours a night. But this is like 4 months and months on end. So you would go psychotic, and that was the help she was trying to sort of achieve. But I keep coming back to that comment that Luke made about, I just want to take pregnant Kristen and put her in a coffin and lock her away. And as I think of this Clancy trial, I'm like, this is how some men think, which is like, you are an inconvenience to me when you're not being a convenience to me. And it's like, he wants Kristen to have another baby ASAP. But he'd rather just lock her in a coffin while she makes the baby and then pop out to be this like single Kristen who she was before. And I'm feeling sick about it because of this case, because of actually lots of things that have sort of come across my desk this week. I feel as though, in a way, like I do feel a bit scared for her.
no, I'm listening, I'm holding you, I'm supporting you. It's true. And there was a moment where it felt a lot like over the 3 episodes that Kristen was apologizing for everything to Luke and that she was owning, oh, it was my postpartum rage and this and that. No, it's because he's going out. He's not doing the basic things that you've asked him to do in terms of caring for his daughter. He just wants to go fishing, go out partying. He won't even come to the bed with you, which is a very small ask. She's not even saying, don't go out and drink. She's saying, Luke, when you go out and drink, come home. Please come back to the bed so you can help me with the baby in the morning. He's like, no, I'm going to sleep on the couch. He doesn't want to help with the baby. To think that he would think she would want to have a second one, she should absolutely not. And there was a moment in this 3rd episode where she was saying, look, I am scared that he'll leave me, and so I try to push him away first. And he has never once said, don't worry. He's never given her the reassurance, say, I'm never going to leave you. Do you know who did? And it was a beautiful moment again. And this is why I want more Jasmine. And I'm honestly like a broken record with this. More Jasmine, more Zach, more Kristen, because Jasmine leaned forward and there's so much emotion in her voice. And she said, Kristen, you have to realize that we are never going to leave you. Brittany, Zach, and me, we are your family. We are never going to leave you. All we are asking is you give us the loyalty that you're displaying for Nia and Danny, but know that we are never, ever going to leave you. And I was like, this is incredible. This is the thing Luke won't give her. And he even picked a bone with Kristen when Kristen said, I was just upset he was going out quite a bit. And he says under his breath to her, I wasn't going out. Don't say that. But you were.
Yeah, we saw it. It was on camera. You know what? It makes me emotional that you said that. And just to be clear to everyone, I haven't actually seen this 3rd episode because my Hey You is playing up. So I tried last night. I tried this morning. I tried at 5 a.m. this morning. I've tried many times. But you know what? So I didn't meet my best friend, like my soulmate best friend, until we were on our graduate program and we had to live together. And when we had our first like big fight, I was just like disengaging and we would live together. And I remember her like walking into my office at work and I was just sort of like ignoring her. And she just like leant over, like grabbed my hands and she's like, I love you and we're going to be friends for the rest of our life. So I'm not going anywhere. So when you want to speak with me, I'll be ready, but just know that. And I don't think I'd ever, I know.
I'm emotional about that. Yeah.
But to this moment, I just like, me too, I cry thinking about it. I'm like, I had never experienced that kind of friendship love before. I felt like I'd had lots of like Luke love, like, which is like friends that are like happy to be friends whilst you're, masking a certain way. And it was this first friend who, we lived together. So she saw all sides of me and she's like, I just had never experienced that kind of true love. And so the fact that Jasmine said that to Kristen just gives me so much joy because you can tell that's what she needs. Like she needs that. And that will give her the confidence to kick Luke to the curb if she ever needed to. Because she knows she wouldn't be alone.
That's the key. And now Brittany has been through it herself, so Brittany will be there for her. Jasmine will be there for her. It was so powerful to me. I want more of that, because I think as we're all in our 30s and 40s and some people are having kids and some people aren't, that family you choose for yourself is one of the most powerful things you can do. They also gave some time for KRISTEN and JASMINE to talk about how JASMINE felt shut down in the group a lot of the time. Unfortunately, you know, still in this reunion, people did talk over JASMINE a lot. And I just think they need to get that shit under control.
They did it last episode too, when she tried to say the thing about them all sort of using their children as excuses. And then there's people on her side of the couch, like Janet and Brittany, who aren't using their children, but just as one. I think there's like a screenshot of it. They're all just like lean forward to like speak over her. And I don't feel like they would do that with anybody else. And the other thing I think is important, because I just had a little memory. Do you know Michelle and Jessie had their baby? I actually think I remember Michelle saying Jessie moved out of the room for a year because he didn't want his sleep interrupted. And so if you think about, I know, and different strokes for different folks. Some couples will do different things, like I'll sleep this night and I'll sleep this night. But, you know, just because you have to go to work, which I bet you she did too, she is still working at home, even if she's with the baby. And there's no like you sleep when they sleep. It doesn't exist. And so, you know, and I even think part of KRISTEN's anxiety is that you want to know when everyone's home, so then you can relax. So if he's just coming in and sitting on the couch, you actually don't know, is he still out? Is he okay? Is he not? Like, I'm sort of like always want to, I can't relax while everybody's under the roof. So now I'm like, oh, I can breathe. But I'm just like, you know, I've got to keep reminding myself when Jessie sort of tricks me. And I'm like, no, you're the guy that left her alone for a year with their newborn and then wants to like make accusations against her about the type of mother she is. So, yes, I'm happy to see the female cast sort of hopefully coming back together and band together. Yeah.
Yeah. And just on that note that you've raised too, which JASMINE was trying to say, and if people hadn't jumped down her throat, she could have articulated it. She's like, you're using your kids as an excuse for your bad behavior, but that is not an excuse for your bad behavior. Like, yes, the lack of sleep. Yes, you cannot be your best self. But what she was saying was consistently you have behaved poorly. And agree with you, Sophie. Look on JASMINE's side of the couch. LALA doesn't blame Ocean and Sosa for anything she does. Brittany doesn't blame Cruz. Janet doesn't blame her little bubba for anything.
And she's a first-time new mum as well. Yeah, JASMINE was right.
Yeah, justice for JASMINE. What else did we have in the third episode so we can wrap this up? But basically, there was this whole teaser thing that they were doing for the whole 3 episodes about what happened at JASMINE's wedding with Danny. Was he drunk?
Oh, yes.
Nothing happened. It was a big nothing burger. Actually, the thing that you posted on our Instagram this morning about where it seemed between the 2 episodes that Danny was honest about drinking at the wedding or not honest about drinking at the wedding really intrigues me, Sophie, because I'm like, well, in the episode I watched, he said he drank at the wedding.
Oh, he did.
Yeah.
That's because because I was pissed because I usually get both options of the episodes. I can usually watch censored or uncensored. And so obviously I haven't watched it, but that's what it looked like, Jessie. The uncensored said one and the censored said the other.
Which is so weird. But also what had happened was Nia had said to Jessie, don't invite Danny to the after party because I want him to come back to the hotel room. Like, as in, they all knew that the after party was happening, but she's like, just don't encourage him. Like, don't
encourage him. Yeah.
Yeah. Don't be like, come on, Danny. Yeah. I think that's pretty inoffensive. Everyone, particularly LALA, jumped on her for that. If you're having to say, don't invite your husband to the after party, I'm like, come on, we've all been there where we're like, just don't get him excited. We're going home.
I have absolutely said to the men around, I'm like, you stop it, you stop it, you stop it. We gotta go.
We gotta go. So what had happened was he went to the bar in their hotel and watched a sport game that he wanted to watch by himself, kicked off his shoes, and he was drinking at the bar while he was watching this sport game. Okay, is that like breaking news? Honestly, it's ridiculous. And I'm not defending Danny, by the way. Actually, I do think he needs to lay off the booze a little bit, just for his own health and general health and safety, right? And for his relationship. But that was a nothing burger.
No, but that does annoy me about the editing, right? So if it is true that they have because I agree with you, the episode where he says, yes, he did drink is a lot better for him because it will come out that he drank, and obviously it did. But if they have cut it in one of the episodes to look like he said, no, actually they did. I saw it on the end of episode 2. That is how they played it at the end of episode 2. It said, Danny, did you drink? And he goes, no. So actually I have only seen that version. So they did do it. I mean, you can edit or Frankenbite or do whatever you need to do. If you're not changing the actual meaning,
Yes.
I don't enjoy that where it's like a blatant, like, choose your own adventure for the editors.
Yes, because as we all know, there's so many podcasts like us and sense makers, and we are only privy to what we're getting in that episode. And that is the most impactful impression we'll get. Like, we can watch the after show and they can explain it on Watch What Happens Live, but then people think they're lying or whatever. So it really is incumbent on the producers to, at least if they're frank and biting, like you say, but don't change the outcome or the meaning or what happened. In saying that, Lala, I thought there was a bit of argy-bargy because she was like, he said, you inserted yourself in Mexico at the table when everything was fine, and you inserted yourself again when I was lying down at the Halloween party drunk. You came over. He's like, I wasn't causing any problems then. And she was like, I've never inserted myself. And so the producers, I guess for balance, played that it did show that she did do those things. But at the same time, she's entitled to do those things. She's on a show. She's allowed to go to a table and talk to him. Like, that's fine. And I think her perspective from being an alcoholic and saying, she didn't call him alcoholic. She just said, these are the things I notice with you that are concerning because I am an alcoholic, okay? And you need to think about that. And I thought that was fair.
Absolutely. And I mean, they just have to realize that they're shooting a show. So the reason, I mean, she did go over and start with him at the Halloween party, but it was also the finale. And so it's like she needs to have this conversation with him. Is it her fault that he got himself so obliterated that he's lying half dead on a couch? It's like, well, no, because that was kind of the wrap up they needed. So I do feel like he was just like trying to stay out of trouble, like hiding. And then they all came and found him because they needed him, like for some sort of resolution. But as I wrong. It was wrong. And he was a bit incoherent. So it's like, but buddy, like, this is your job. Like, you came to the party. It is the season final. Everybody knows that these conversations have to be closed out, and then you're too drunk to do that. So,
Yeah.
you know.
So tough shit for you, Danny. Like,
Yeah, tough shit, buddy. Yeah. And the thing is, again, I was chatting with my girlfriend Renee this morning. She's like, why on Reddit is everyone so harsh on Lala? I was like, I actually don't know. I feel like she's been really big, like really just neutral this season. She's managed it so well. She's given credit where credit's due. She's like done tough talk when she needs to. And it doesn't matter whose faction and I think everyone just holds like her being like a PJ girl, like when she very first started, like 10 plus years ago on Vanderpump Rules. I think they're still holding that against her. But anyway, I feel like Lala's really, again, I kept saying surprisingly at the start of the season. I don't know, start of the season. Why was I saying that? I don't know. Because I've never felt like she was bad. So I don't even know what I was doing, like maybe just drinking the Kool-Aid. But I want it on record that I think that, yeah, Lala's been doing a great job.
I think she has too. I mean, and essentially as a producer plant with not as much skin in the game, I think she did a fantastic job. Like you said, I don't feel like she aligned herself with any of the factions. I thought she brought conversations to the fore where they needed to be. And I even thought she gentle parented a number of people throughout the whole season. Like even when Danny was super drunk at the Halloween party and she's like, you've got cheese on your face, but like, we need to clean you up. I just felt like she is, I know she always says she's in a softer era now, but I think she genuinely is. And it's nice to see because she's still strong when she needs to be. The last thing I'll say is that, remember when I said to you, I was so impressed by Brittany's food and Halloween party and the effort she put on. And then a few episodes before I'd said how sad Tom Schwartz's effort at the Bond party was.
Yeah, the poker Bond, yeah.
It was so sad. And I kept saying it with like this sad cheese platter and his sad townhouse, which is really judgy of me. But the producers obviously agreed with me because Andy Cohen in episode 3 said Tom Schwartz, and they showed a picture of Brittany's Halloween charcuterie and it was incredible. And they said, Tom, how did you feel when you saw that compared to what you were doing at your Bond party? And Tom just came alive literally to say, mine was so bad. I don't think I'll ever host again.
Good decision. And you know what? Like, hosting is hard, as we said. And so he's used to having Sandoval there, who is obviously not a great guy, but a great host.
Yes.
And, you know, yeah, you've either got it or you don't.
Yeah.
Okay. And, you know, there's chat online about whether Sheena's coming back, whether they need Sheena for next season.
Yes,
and Sheena and Lala have got quite deep rooted beefs. And I don't want that for them. Yeah.
I'm like, if you can't see me, Sophie, she's laughing because I'm nodding like a crazy person, like I'm salivating at the thought. But it will give them a chance to resolve things. And also, I'm going against the grain here. I have a lot of time for Sheena. I have zero time for Brock, okay? And I think it's crazy that Sheena married him. It's crazy that she has a kid with him. It's none of my business. I'm sorry, Sheena, because I actually support all of Sheena's rights and Sheena's wrongs. She's so unintentionally comedic. She bought a penguin for a guy she was in a situationship with. She's hilarious. She keeps it together, and actually she's friends with everyone. Bring her in.
So I agree. I am a Sheena, like, stan, in the sense that, it's almost she's a little bit like Tamara, which is like she's only committed to the show.
Yes.
And I kind of love, and I hated how mean they were to her through all of those years, because she is that natural pick-me. And it's like, but that's who she is. Like, can we not just love her for who she is?
Yeah.
But why? What is wrong with Australian men representation on this show? So you've got Brock, who's like a deadbeat dad. You've got Michael Darby from Potomac, who was, again, all sorts of issues. And then you've got Nathan from Below Deck. Although he's not Australian, he's Irish. I guess we can't claim him. But
we're not.
anyway, I have to say, we're not pleased. We're not claiming Nathan. Okay, because I'm like, I'm not pleased with our Australian representation on these shows.
And the curly-haired tight gentleman's perm from the recent Summer House, he was dreadful too.
Oh, Ben, he was horrible. Ben, awful.
Yeah.
Yeah, gosh, I didn't even, I need to, well, I'm not going to, but go back and watch his season of The Bachelor to see if he was as, like, horrid on that as he was on Summer House. Anyway, he's not coming back next season. That's locked in. So thank gosh for that.
Yeah. Thank God for that. I will just say, I think Brock was born in New Zealand, but I also don't want to insult our New Zealander brethren, because I love New Zealanders, and I wish that he wasn't either one of us.
Yes, I agree. I agree. Yeah, yuck. Okay, so we are going to chat about Orange County now. We've kind of got a couple of episodes to cover. Essentially, what we're talking about is there's a little bit that was happening in OC, and then essentially Jen's hosting a girls' trip in Vegas, and we've spent the last couple of episodes in Vegas doing all sorts of things, showgirling, but room drama, all the classic. When we said last episode that Orange County just feels like this, like, comfort watch, it just really is. And like, coming into it, I've just been enjoying it even more, because I'm like, yes, let's talk. I know, like, anyway, we can talk more about it as we go through. But my first question is do we know, it was like the start of 2 episodes ago, and we're in Emily's house as they're packing to leave, and there's a lady there, and she says to the lady, "You can come and go as you please. He'll be here." I'm like, who was that lady?
Missed who it was, and I think it's their nanny or like housekeeper or house manager. And I was like, it was a very weird vibe. Is that why you noticed it
weird? Yes. And I think I actually did rewind it to try and figure out who she was, and then maybe I like looked at my phone again, because I am constantly doing that. But I thought, yeah, who is this lady that you're telling she can come and go as she please? Anyway, the whole thing was super weird. But I mean, Emily obviously later talks in the episode about just how cross she's been with her husband. So yeah, it could be about that.
It could. So cross that she fell off her bike thinking about it and damaged her leg, which, I mean, anyway, look,
and then you've got two knee injuries, and obviously Vicky with her knee injury. And I will give Vicky a little bit of, like, I was on crutches for 9 months once with a knee injury, and I got very sad. You get so, like, it's so hard to do everything because you don't have access to your 2 hands because you're on crutches. So I'll give her like a little bit of, leeway for that. But I also thought when Emily hurt her leg on the e-bike, she said she was so angry, and he said to her, "Well, that's karma for being cross with me." I really thought, you know what, that's a joke you might make if someone didn't get hurt. You might like, oh, if you hurt yourself, that would have been karma because we had an argument. But if like someone actually hurts themselves, you don't say, like, if my husband hurt himself, I'd be like, "Oh my God, are you okay?" I wouldn't be like, "Well, that was karma." Like, I don't like the vibe.
Normally I'd be like, yeah, that's terrible too. But I do think they have a weird sledging vibe between them, and there's no romance between them. Like, he has always said odd things, and she always says, "Oh, he's just really sarcastic. He's snarky. He's like the king of snark or something." So I think it's just their vibe. But like, I mean, look, I'm seriously not Emily's greatest fan, so it's hard to care. Can we talk about Bag and the Dildo and Carmella and the way Emily and Gina kind of like blew up this whole fake thing about the bag and the dildo, to the point where Vicky is so fired up about this new girl that Vicky's actually been quite awful to Carmella. when Emily and Gina were just kind of doing it for the show, it's a really odd thing that like Emily kind of got Gina fired up and then went and bitched to Heather about it. And luckily Heather and her husband just laughed it off like they don't care. And then Gina came at Carmella at this dinner, which seemed so rehearsed to me about it's weird. And I'm going to tell you it's weird if you buy a Dior bag and a dildo. It's a normal gift. I don't know where they're coming from. I think it's such a normal gift. I would love to receive that gift.
Yeah, I don't think it's a big deal. I do genuinely think it did cause a fracture in the relationship between Emily and Gina, and you don't often see that. And when they just said, when they were doing the showgirl stuff, they're like, we need to talk about it, but not now. And the fact that they hadn't spoken, because they've always been such a united front, and the fact that, you know, Emily had gone and spoke, because they obviously bitch about everyone together all the time, and it's just an unsaid rule that you don't discuss it. So then for Emily to go and really dob Gina in, I think Gina was really angry. And also Gina prides herself on her New Yorkness of being like, I'll be direct and I'll tell you to your face. So I think the dinner was like, I wasn't bitching about you, I'll tell you to your face. But actually, she didn't intend to tell her to her face. She was just having snark with her bestie and it wasn't supposed to come out. And so like that was sort of my take on it, because it is just a regular gift and they were just being bitchy. But I think the thing with Vicki, and as they've gone back and they showed like how rude Vicki was to Gina about her marriage, and then obviously at the casino where she goes in on Carmella about her motherhood, and she said, you know, like, well, why, you know, my daughter who has a son that's, you know, 13, which is 1 year, would never leave her child. I mean, I Googled it. From Rancho Santa Fe to Orange County, it's like an hour and a half drive. Like, it's nothing. It's like having a house at the Gold Coast and having a house at Brisbane. So I was like, Vicki, you're turning into like Abby Lee Miller. I was like, you're going around on your scooter. You're mean AF. You are a child. I was like, you have like become Abby. And I was like, it's just so, it was so mean and cold. But, and I really thought that she would just hold on to it and like stand by what she said, because she can be so cruel. But the fact that at the end of the episode, she actually does go, actually, that was really harsh. I don't know why I said that. I was actually quite pleased. Like, I wasn't expecting her to say it, but you can see in future episodes, it's not done, because you can't fix something so harsh with a quick sorry at a bar.
No, you can't. And also Carmella's being she's accepting everyone's apology. She's not making an issue of it yet. But these are the kinds of things that will keep you up a little bit at night, that you'll get a bit more angry about the more you think about it, even though you accepted an apology. And I also do think it's because Vicki got all riled up seeing everyone frothing about this gift at Carmella, and she's been riled up on the business side. And Vicki can't course correct as quickly as someone like Gina will. Like, Gina was yelling at the table at Carmella, which was embarrassing for Gina. But then like 10 minutes later, she's like, actually, I really like you. Like, whereas Vicki can't chop and change that quickly. So I was proud that she did apologize and she did realize. But I mean, even Heather stepped in at the casino when Vicki was trying to get into the children and custody aspect of it and said, we are not doing children. Because Heather, I hope you have extreme regrets. I know Emily wouldn't, probably. Well, I don't know that, but Emily, I hope you do. But it's clear to me that Heather has regrets about how it went down at the reunion with Katie Janella and her children in custody situation. And she wanted to cut that off at the quick. I applaud that. I wish it had been done for Katie. I'm still angry about how she was treated.
Oh, I'm still angry about it too. And yeah, I was like really pleased with Heather, because she got in like quickly, and you know, like even just the look of anger on her face I was happy with, in the sense that, because Vicky's like, don't speak to me like that. She's like, no, like, we're not touching the children. And I do just think that Vicky has a little bit of a mean heart, and I don't think that she really realized it was wrong. They showed you the clip of like 5 different people, including Tamara and Emily, telling her it was too harsh, and she's like, oh, if they're saying it is. But it's like very much like, people just can't believe that she's saying the things that she says. And it makes me think of Teresa in Ultimate Girls Trip, which we'll talk to, when Teresa turns around, she's like, actually, you were men, and their producers are so shady, because, you know, they keep like making fun of Teresa's intelligence, and they're like ding, ding, like showing her like thinking it's true though. Like Teresa, like just, you know, processes at a much slower pace. It's like not, you know, and it is. And so then she thinks about things. She even does it in her own season. Like in the moment, she'll just be like, doesn't, like, she will clock it but not process it, and then she'll come back. But the things that she did, the mean things that Vicki said to Kyle, the mean things that she was saying to Carmella, I do just think, I don't know, I feel she's got a bit of a mean heart or something. Like it's a generational judgment or something.
I think it's a few. Yeah, I think there's a bit of generational, like just general bullishness there. I think she's a bit out of touch. And I think she's really unhappy. And I actually see, and oh God, if Emily, this podcast is not for you, Emily, don't ever listen to it. But I see so much of Emily and Vicky, like I can see Emily going towards the Vicky way because they're both so instantly aggressive. They are both so sensitive to any criticism. They will both say things that I just think are mean for no real reason, even towards their friend. Like Emily was really still defensive with Gina, even in the hotel room where Gina had said to her, you know, like, I was just.
So you don't have to be the biggest bully
in the room
every time. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think
that was a little aha for her. I think but I do think Emily's trying to fix it in a way that maybe Vicky didn't. Because like even at the dinner table, Gina sort of had that aha with Carmella about, you know, Carmella's husband had cheated and how does she forgive? And she's like, yes, no, like I just want to hold the grudges the longest. And I do want to be the meanest. And I do want to be the like I think I hope that she's still got some time to course correct on that. I mean, these reality shows must be the best therapy in the sense that you can see yourself literally on the balcony and how you came across in moments.
Why doesn't Emily see herself? It's been 8 years. Decouple them. Keep one, not the other. I don't care which one you keep. Like, but there can't be a 2-for-1 anymore. I actually agree with Heather saying to them, you shouldn't be sharing a room anymore. You've got to split this up. This is work. You've got to be able to spend time with more people. And you know what, Heather? If you want a bestie and a buddy, I'll be your buddy. I think it is so mean that Emily and Gina in their confessionals were like, because you're doing this, Heather, it makes us not want to be your buddy. That's such mean girl shit. I'm not here for it. You're all friends. Like, stop making Heather feel like she's not part of things. I think it's shitty. And we've seen it over a number of years, but we've also seen it quite a lot in this season, is that Heather is feeling lonely. Shannon also admitted in this recent episode she's feeling lonely. Listen, ladies, you're meant to be there for each other.
Exactly. And I think that's the thing. Like, I feel as though, so like my daughter always says, like, Mom, there's a duo in every trio and everybody knows it. And I was like, yes, it's true. Like in every trio, there's a duo. And it can often change who the duo in the trio is. But in this case, it doesn't. I actually just think Gina and Emily should be allowed to room together. They allow the cameras in. We get great content when they're talking crap on their own. Like, I quite enjoy that. I do find when they're at tables, they don't always sit together. They don't do the same activities. But I feel for both Shannon and Heather at the same time. And I feel as though I saw a little bit of growth from Shannon this episode that we don't normally see and it was really, I think, Jen that brought it out in her. I was actually really pleased this episode, to be fair, because what Heather did was shit by going in and saying, I'm going to take the second best room because I know I can't have the best. Jen has the best. Shannon, you have the worst. And Shannon was having a massive tantrum about the rooms. So it wasn't about the rooms. It was the fact that she wasn't consulted. And it's like, I think you're exactly right. And I was like, but normally Shannon would just have a tantrum for the rest of the trip and ruin it for herself and be really sad and then get drunk or do whatever. And the fact that, you know, Jen was able to unpick it and say to her, you're putting your energy in the wrong place. You're upset with Heather. Go and have the chat. And I kind of relate to Shannon that way too, is that I would never say I want the best room or whatever. But I would like for there to be like draw straws or something. I would want there to be like a process. So I felt that everyone was treated equally.
Fairly.
Yeah, fairly. And so, but you know, Jen obviously should get whoever's hosting the trip, they get the room. But so I was really pleased with both of them with that. And I wish they could be each other's like partner, because I do think everyone should have a partner to debrief with. And maybe I'm biased because literally whenever we go on trips, like my best friend and I, we always share a room. Because I'm like, I don't want to be with anyone else.
It's tricky, but I feel like Gina and Emily are like work besties. And I also feel like, yeah, fair enough. If you're going to stick together like that, then you have to allow the cameras in. It's not fair that you get this benefit of downloading in private. I think I agree with Heather. I mean, we disagree and that's totally fine because that's the whole point of Sunday Lunch is that I'm on Heather's side with this. I know, like she said, and Tamara obviously agreed with it too. And like
It was a shit stirrer. So she totally agreed with Heather about it. But when everyone was there, she said to like Gina, "Oh, you're going to be in trouble with Heather. Heather's not happy." I'm like, you're such a stirrer.
But Heather stood her ground and said it with a whole chest and didn't back down from it. And I liked that.
Exactly. Tamara couldn't do that. And that bugged me.
Yeah. And so, look, I think, yeah, if they're going to get the benefit of having that every time, then put the cameras in. They don't get the benefit of having it be super private. Otherwise,
agree.
I think mix up some of the duos and let new duos form because otherwise you're just losing opportunities for new and exciting friendships to form and things to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Can I say, speaking of Jen, I just want to say I've been hard on Jen on certain things, but in defense of Jen this episode, they were all heading to the Grand Canyon and Jen said, how was the Grand Canyon found? Like who found it? How did that happen in history? How did we understand and find the Grand Canyon? It became so important. And people were kind of like Emily, not naming any names, kind of mocked her for that. I want to say something to everybody right now. Asking questions so you can learn is a wonderful thing. Jen being so sort of guileless and asking that question and not being afraid to expose that she had a knowledge gap is a good thing. This is how we learn more. And none of those ladies even knew the answer anyway. So it was a good question.
Excellent question. And curiosity. Like there is like, I know that's what they tell children, but there are no bad questions. Like ask it or don't ask it. But I feel like, yes, I do feel as though people will pretend to know something rather than just ask it. And I think her curiosity is admirable. Yeah, good on you for calling that out. I have been there. Have you been to that sky thing?
No. Tell me about it.
It's terrifying. Well, because so often I think they're playing it up with like how scared they are, and the falling and whatever. But I think I have told you the story once, but this was when I was like massively like claustrophobic, anxious. And we booked this flight out to the Grand Canyon and I was sort of panicking getting on this plane because it was quite a small plane. And I said to them, look, I've got really bad claustrophobia. Can you seat me right at the front? Because I'm like, if I can see the door, I would feel as if I was better. Anyway, so they put me in row one. The door to the plane was in the back row. And it was this tiny little plane that you had to crawl and sit in. And then there's all this luggage and I couldn't. So I just I didn't even say anything to Sean. I just waited till everyone sat and then I got up and I like stood on everybody's stuff and just got out. And I was like, I'm not getting back on that plane. Anyway, so then we rented a car and Sean's like, I'll drive us there. And it's spectacular. And that skywalk is one of the scariest things ever because you are actually standing over it at a very high height. Yeah, I know. I wanted to just like get and like crawl. And I have to find the photos, but sometimes I think they're hamming it up is all I'm saying. And I'm like, They weren't hamming it up. It's terrifying, but equally beautiful.
I was going to say, like, if you can, and you can't see my hands, but I'm gripping so tight. I'm white knuckling as you're describing it to me because I would find that so scary as well. And I realize it would be so beautiful and incredible. But if it's one of those like sort of sway, I just couldn't do it. Look, I saw Cliffhanger.
When the wind.
I saw
Cliffhanger.
Yeah, I saw it at a very vulnerable age. You probably did too. And like, I just don't need to be walking up cliffs.
My God, I love that. And then that began my love with Sylvester Stallone because then I loved Tango and Cash. I used to watch it constantly. Then I watched all the Rocky movies. I thought he was Uncle Pat for a while. So just for everyone, we have this uncle who's like was really big in fitness training, really sporty, looks so much like Sylvester Stallone. And when I was little, I remember just crying during the Rocky fights. But I'm like, we still one day need to talk about your Arnold Schwarzenegger obsession. Like, how have you been talking for this long and not addressed that?
But I just was thinking as you saying that because I used to think that Sylvester Stallone was so like Uncle Pat too, but I think the reason I love Arnold Schwarzenegger so much is because he reminded me of my dad, and not in the way you would expect, but just he was, in my mind, he was big and powerful and strong and fair, and he made bad situations go away, and both looked different and they both had different sounding voices and like they were both different to the norm. And I just feel like that's how that imprinted in my head.
That is so interesting. And I can't, like, physically, your dad was like Arnie, like that very big upper body. Like, I can see that. And then you, as a kid, then you add all the other attributes on top and be like, yes, they make me feel safe and they are good. Well, that's so funny. So we had a father and an uncle as Arnie and Sylvester Stallone. I don't know what that says about us.
I don't know.
I watched Tango and Cash so many times. Like, I could get my belt out, fold it in two. I could zip line down something. Like, in my head, I'm like, if I've ever got to get out of somewhere, I am.
Our best movie ever. I don't think it holds up, but it did come up with that FUBAR term that we were all using in the 90s, fucked up beyond all recognition. And we just thought that was the coolest, most naughty code word to say. FUBAR, you're FUBAR. Like, it's so bad.
But see, Kurt Russell was also a legend. So
love Kurt Russell. Love him and Goldie. Think they're a hot couple, by the way.
Oh my gosh, have you seen that Christmas movie they made together?
No, was it good?
It's like one of the best modern Christmas movies. So it's called Christmas Chronicles, but it's one of the ones that we've watched year after year after year, which I don't like rewatching movies, and that's one. And he's Santa and she does a little cameo in as Mrs. Claus, and it's very cute.
So cute. He was hot back in the day. But look, I'll just say one more thing about OC for me was that when they were talking about all these ladies, like these ladies in their 50s and getting towards 60s at the table in the most recent episode, and they sort of started talking about sex. And I loved this discussion, like more talk about what it's like in a long-term marriage, going through menopause, trying to keep it sexy, and Heather just going, Terry and I schedule it. We schedule it. Yes, you must schedule it. And I'm like, of course you do, fancy pants. You fucking schedule everything.
Yeah, no surprises there. None. And good on Tamara, because a part of her storyline was always like how hot and heavy she was with her husband. I love that she's just all like, oh God, like, you know, things are rough. And I mean, Vicki with her advice is terrible. But yes, yeah, it was a good conversation. And I love to see that they weren't putting on airs and graces with each other. They were very much having a real conversation. So that was fun.
It was cute. I was very sad for Vicki when she was like, you have to please your man or someone else will take him. And my mother taught me that. I was like, well, your mother did you a massive disservice. And I'm sorry to say.
It was so wrong because you've got Carmella there looking at her, and Carmella probably is the age of her daughter. And it's like, so what you're telling Carmella is that it's her fault that her partner cheated because you weren't doing your job at home. Like, Vicki, it's so outdated. And they're the people, like, hurt people hurt people. Yes. Like, so she's obviously very harsh on herself and therefore harsh on others. And it's like, it's a tough one. Speaking of Vicki, let's move on to Ultimate Girls Trip. So now we've had 2 episodes of Ultimate Girls Trip. This time we were moving on from Orange County onto Beverly Hills, which very, very, very excited about. At the start, they showed some of like the highlights of Beverly Hills over the years, and they played the Goodbye Kyle and that you stole my goddamn house, and there was a whole bunch of them. I was like, anyway, excellent.
Yeah. For Beverly Hills, a show that I would say is extremely slow when you watch it season to season, it has had some really epic moments. Like this episode was almost like a clip show, like just running their greatest hits, but man, their hits were good.
So good. And I'm so I was like happy, disappointed, happy because going to Sutton's and it being just Sutton and Crystal, I was like, my God, is this all we're going to see when we saw so many from Orange County? But thank God we saw the clip for the White Party, which we can then like talk about. But once I realized that was happening, I could relax a bit because a dinner party hosted by Sutton is the most Beverly Hills thing you could do. And, you know, like she did the full, like, you know, what is it? White glove service with the dinner drop, you know, everything at the same, like all of it was fantastic. And the fact that they could laugh about the ugly leather pants, and that was the 2 of them in that fight. It was Crystal and it was Sutton.
I love that Crystal came back for that. I wish in a lot of ways Crystal and Garcelle and Sutton, what could have been. And anyway, it didn't work out that way, and that happens, I guess. But I loved when Crystal came up and said to Sutton, you know, I put this on and I was looking at them and I thought, God, yeah, these are pretty ugly.
They're ugly leather pants. And then Giselle said, there's no such thing as an ugly leather pair of pants. And I was just like, yes, Giselle, we can tell you're not into fashion because I'm telling you, like, they're almost all ugly. Like, it's very hard to pull up a pair of leather pants for anyone.
I agree. Leather pants are a very, very tricky proposition. Your girl has tried to carry them off multiple times during her life because I just won't take no for an answer. And I'm telling you, there are some ugly leather pants out there. I mean, Giselle has an amazing body. So, of course, anything really that she puts on, even when it is not the most fashionable, she still looks beautiful. So she has that like face and body card to carry her through. But I thought it was cute they were all wearing pants. Oh, what were you going to say?
I was just going to say, I've never actually tried on a pair of leather pants, but I have done like pleather. And that's shocking to wear too, because if you sweat, it just like drips down in streams and like there's no like air or it's what I imagine to wear latex to be like, but no absorption in there.
And you start squeaking.
Is it similar with leather or no?
So I have worn pleather in my late teens and it's very squeaky and there was no give. And then in my 30s, when I was like at my peak hotness, those leather leggings were quite in. And so I used to wear, it was leather at the front and sort of like maybe a cotton at the back. That worked really well.
Yes, I did have a pair of that and they were Karen Millen. They were leather panels, yes, and then some stretch panels.
That's the way to do it.
Amazing, and they were tights. Yes. Okay,
that's the only way.
I will approve. I will approve those.
But I thought it was a cute episode. They brought the fun. They had a little like let the mouse go treasure hunt. Cute.
The mouse running away at the end was gorgeous because the mouse, I was like, oh, is it going to be a guest star? But it literally just let the mouse go and it ran out a door and you never saw the mouse again. It was perfection. And the $25,000 sunnies. And Teresa was the most perfect person to get those sunnies. Like, because that's so Jersey Shore and Jersey coded. Like, it's so, anyway, it was amazing.
Because they're more flashy there. Like, it's totally
so flashy. Everything's bedazzled.
But it was sad. Like, what goes through Vicki's mind before she says things? Because Kyle was teary about her 30th anniversary and losing their marriage. And as you said, like, Vicki just agreed with her and then made her feel worse about it. And I thought maybe when you mentioned it last week, sort of you were exaggerating, but you weren't. She literally said, yeah, you have let people down. You've let down your children. You've let down your family. And you could just see Kyle looking at her going, okay, this isn't about me right now. Vicki's projecting, but what the hell? This is a wild thing to say.
So wild. I think the only redeeming factor is that she then tied it around and said, I wish someone would have given me that same chat when I was leaving Don. But it's like so revisionist history because it's like, Vicki, if anybody had tried to, you would have demolished them. And it's not your role. Like, it was so inappropriate. And I do feel bad for Cole because, like, as we know, like, she still loves him. She would, if he said, I'll have you back, let's do it. Let's have our grandkids together. And so her eldest is pregnant. You know, Thirsty Mauricio, like, he was on Housewives of Potomac. So when Potomac went to Aspen, there he was. He just happened to be at Kimo Sabe. And then Ashley was trying to get with him. And so was the tall
Giselle
lady. And no, the Stacy, the really pretty one. And then Giselle as well, because then Giselle tried to make it like I'm his girl's girl. Kyle, like, was the queen in this across the table. And to Giselle, no one can shut Giselle down. Like, you can't. And when Giselle's like, well, the second I saw Mauricio, I texted you, didn't I, Kyle? And Kyle's like, yeah. And you also said you'd like to lay horizontal with him. And
I know. Giselle's so like, Giselle was gagged. She was completely gagged. Yeah. And I want more of this Kyle, although I actually love activated Kyle as well. In the last season, she was activated against Dorit a lot and activated just in general. And I love that. I love an activated Kyle. But I want more of this Kyle where she's not so activated, but she can just deliver something cutting and then have it rest. Like, yes, Kyle, more of that. You can do it, girl. Like, have the confidence.
I think it is authentic to her too. I just think that she is often just trying to play this Mr. Nice Guy character. And it's like, yes, we got to see you do the splits again. Like, yes, we got to see, like, yes, it was like, yes, Kyle. So, she doesn't have to be drinking, she's sober. So she doesn't have to be drinking to be fun and do all of these things. And that's, I think she showed up so well. And the fact that she's throwing, like, one of her iconic white parties is, like, wow. Because you know how much, like, they would cost. So it's like a once a year Christmas party and she's throwing it just for the show, like, just like money, honey. But I had never realized, like, obviously they've all got big egos, but when we see housewives together on girls' trips, they're always getting along. and they might fight within their own show, but they've always got each other's back because they're on the same show. But that preview for next week had me like shaking, like to see that there's actual beef between housewives from different.
I'm dying to talk about this. I'm just going to say quickly two things. One, yes, as you say, it's lovely on the Ultimate Girls trips when you see people having fun. And we saw Portia saying, I'm having so much fun with you all. I'm fans of you all. Like, I thought that was such a gorgeous moment.
I love
and Lisa,
Portia's.
I did too. She's just so, like, that's so refreshing. She's just herself. She's like, I love you all. And then Lisa Barlow realizing in her confessional how nice it was just to laugh and not feel like you're about to get slammed was also nice to see. But that preview for the White Party. Now, you know that my two favorite housewives, Sophie, are Darcel Beauvais and Countess Luann. And my least favorite housewife is Erica Jane. Would you like to tell us what we saw in the preview?
So Erica's having absolute beef, but who was it with?
Countess Luann.
That's what it was. Because I'm telling you, I was shook, but I would just, it's terrifying. It's to be a part of that. Because I like Erica. So, I mean, I didn't, but then I'm telling you, she got her redemption. And I just, yeah, no, I did. Because there was multiple. There was Erica and Lou, and then there was another big beef they were showing us where people wouldn't talk to each other. And I was quite scared.
To see my beloved Countess Lou front up and say hi to Erica, and Erica just stares her down and then walks off. I was like, who do you think you are, Erica? Because, like, as far as I'm aware, you married a crook and you tried to get a gay fashion designer arrested for the fact that you hadn't paid your bills to him. You actually traumatized an innocent man who made clothes for you and you got him investigated. And I will never, ever let her forget it. This is why I don't believe she's had a shred of redemption. And then you can't even be polite at a white party to, like, an epic housewife. Go get, like, stuffed. Go home. Take your latex with you.
Yes, and that's right. Now it's coming back to me too, because it's to do with something that Lou said at BravoCon, like who's the most overrated housewife or something like that. So she's like holding on to that, which is like, again, like they're forced to answer these questions. Like just move on. Yes.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's going to be an excellent episode because, I mean, they talk about the finale at Bluestone Manor, but this to me, like one of Kyle's white parties, this is iconic. So
yeah, it's tradition. It feels like tradition. I'm looking forward to it and it should be fun. And I just hope that, I kind of hope Denise Richards will be there, but I don't think she will.
Well, she did film that last season. And now that, I don't know the timing though, because by now she should be well into her split with Aaron. So hopefully she does come. And yeah, and I just want to circle back around. I was the same with Portia. When Portia was like, I'm a fan of y'all, I was just like, girl, like, yes, because you can have ego and she's so good at playing it up. But to actually just say, like, you all came before me, I watched you, I was your fan. Like, again, I was like, yes. And then, yeah, ditto with Lisa Barlow getting emotional. And I felt that for Lisa. Like, I felt for years watching the reunions. I was just like, Lisa, like, why are they all coming at you for everything? I do feel like in the last season or two, she's kind of deserved a little bit because she won't take accountability. But I actually just feel like they came in so hot for her for the first few seasons anyway. So I do feel like she's a little bit broken from it all. Like, yes, it's hard.
I think that's fair to say. Look, she's an extremely problematic housewife, but they could not do Salt Lake City without her. I will say that all day and all night. She and Meredith have got to stay on. They're just so comedic.
I don't know, with Meredith, I feel like Meredith's given us a lot less in the last few seasons, but, you know, that doesn't mean that she won't bring it in the future.
Well, that's true. I have a theory about Meredith, which is that she's like nowhere to be seen in the first half of the season. And then she gets activated for some small reason. And then she brings it home for the back end and gives us such epic moments that I'm willing to forgive her disengagement for the first half. It just takes time to get her riled up.
So true. And see, now that you've said it to me, I can watch it in that way. I can like lower my expectations at the start and then, yes, and then she does. Then she just really brings it home.
So it'll be fun. Well, quickly on the SLC trailer, thoughts, feelings?
You tell me yours.
Well, I noticed they brought in a new girl and I didn't think we needed, I'm not being Vicky on this, but it's already a big cast and Bronwyn was coming back, which I'm so happy to see. But they have brought in another lady. So I'm interested. I'm like, apparently she's a friend of Whitney's, but you know, they always make up who the friend is anyway. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there, because what are we up to? Because Brittany Bateman was back too, who is also to me so unintentionally hilarious that I just cannot. This cast is one of the funniest casts since original Roni to me. But so I can't even really say what we saw. It was a lot of drops about basically feuding. There are a couple of marriages on the rocks, namely Whitney and Justin, and also Angie and Sean. And that both those scenes were sort of really sad. And I think obviously they'll be heavily dominating the storylines, at least for the first half. There's a new girl who is sort of giving a roast. Yeah. Oh,
Ashley Kwai. Sorry, I was just wanted to see her name. Ashley Kwai.
that will be interesting to see. And I wonder if they can just break up the Heather Whitney bad weather combination. Because similar to Emily and Gina, I actually want them divided a bit, because Heather, in my opinion, is acting too much as a producer. She's acting too much as a narrator of the. She is forcing things too much. I need her to take a step back and let other things just naturally bubble to the fore.
Just occur like the time they were making butter and Meredith shook her butter for so long that she damaged her wrist. Like, it's like she was hurt for like a long time from shaking the butter because she wouldn't stop until the butter was made. And I was just like, they're amazing. Salt Lake City.
I know.
Amazing.
Let's see how our little fave Angie goes, our little Greek friend.
Have you heard Brittany sing? She's a proper like opera performer.
Oh yeah, she's a proper performer. All the girls were so mean to Brittany last season. I think they need to just let Brittany be Brittany. She's funny. She's ridiculous. She's an embarrassment. Let her go. I will say, like, my heart just goes so far out to Mary Cosby, who lost her son in between seasons. And I just hope Mary's okay.
Yeah, it's like the saddest thing, because I remember at the end of last season at the reunion, she actually said, because he was in prison, she said, I'm actually happy he's in prison. She goes, it's the safest place for him. And I just think she can be so practical. And the fact that then she's lost her only son, who really was the joy of her life. It was good to see her husband back and, you know, supporting each other. God, there's no words. It just shouldn't happen.
No, it's really sad. But look, speaking on to things that are really sad, I'm going to hand over to you for your distractions. As you had sort of said at the top, it's been a really tough week in Australia in terms of violence against women, sexual assault against women. So if that is a trigger for you, I think we're going to be discussing things around that. Feel free to switch off, but this is something that obviously sort of pervades our daily life, and this week has been particularly tricky. So over to you, Soph.
Thank you, Jessie. And I just want to start by saying that information you shared on your Instagram this week was phenomenal. And it's not happy information, but it's affirming information. And it's like to say that, you know, so basically it was this piece of research, and please correct me if I'm saying this wrong, but basically it's a piece of research to say that, and it said the research shows that the number one precursor to any type of radicalization that is misogyny, it's attitude towards women. And I just thought it's so, like, it makes so much sense. So if you're raising children and you have a little boy and he's being raised to see women as lesser, as an object, or any of those sorts of things, that little boy is more likely to be radicalized into any of these sort of different things that we see, and that they are linked. And I just, in every sense of the word, felt that this week. And so I actually have tried to choose two lighter distractions that I'm actually going to talk about. I'm going to talk about the Tasmanian tiger, and we'll talk about Meghan and Harry. But I will just say, so we had an incident in Australia where 5 very famous football players, there's allegations against them for sexual assault, all videotaped, and that's distressing enough as it is. But the primary reporting in Australia has been about, what about the football season? And it's
Come on.
Horrendous. And you know what? I stayed away from it. I was talking to Mum on the phone. I said, oh, Mum, you know, I haven't looked into it too much. Please haven't interviewed them. And then when I did look into it, and I realized how horrible it is. Channel 7, one of our primary news sources, has doxed the women at their workplace. They have.
Oh my God.
And so the concern, you know, people are turning it around now, but rather than being concerned for the female victim of an alleged sexual assault, people have been more concerned about the AFL season coming into finals, which is just sickening. So I'm not going to talk too much about that. The only update that I am going to give on the Clancy trial, which is just really interesting, is that The jury's been sent home 2 days in a row for reasons the court's not publicly explained. So very interesting because they've just moved over to defense and something is happening. But Jessie, the two things that are distracting me. Can we talk about Meghan and Harry?
Let's do, because I'm actually really shocked and I have a theory. I mean, my theory is things are pretty bad in the US. And maybe they always had an agreement they'd try it for 5 years, but when the kids were going to school for safety, they'd come back to the UK because, I mean, I wouldn't want, I'm sorry, Americans. I find your gun situation scary for kids at school. So I'm like, is it something to do with that? But like, what did you think, Sophie?
Shocked. And now I wonder why. But it was so, and it's obviously true because people dropped it at 5 p.m. in the States. Telegraph dropped it at 10 p.m. or like exact same time in the UK. It's not, anonymous sources. It's like we can report that. They haven't refuted it. So, and I mean, for those who haven't seen the story, essentially it's come out that this month, Harry, Meghan, and the kids are going to move back to the UK. Hopefully, they can remain some level of privacy around where they're going to live and what school the kids are enrolled in. But the kids are enrolled in a school. We hope that the press can do their part and, again, not dox them. They will be private citizens. But I think it allows them to be closer to Harry's family.
Yeah.
His dad is quite old. His dad is unwell. Whether, Charles is really sick or not sick, I just think he doesn't know those kids at all. And, when we filmed our podcast, I was like,
yes,
how are they ever going to get along with Will's kids because they are growing up as Americans versus, so I think it's wonderful. I just wonder, how have they been able to resolve the issues that they got to, which is just this absolute lack of privacy, this, again, just constant attention on them and mongering from the press to find negative stories. And it's Harry's home. He wants to be home. He wants to raise his kids. It basically, if you in America, so many kids are homeschooled now. And it's like, that's not really for Commonwealth countries. It's not as big of a thing. You kind of want to send your kids to a school. And again, a school, without guns. I know you might all just think we're crazy, but the way everyone's scared of our spiders, we're scared of your guns. I just don't know.
It's actually true. I know everyone's like, how do you manage to live in Australia? I'm like, it's really fine. But we are the prevalence of guns in America is something that is so unusual to Australians and British people. I think they've obviously resolved the security issue. They're obviously going to have taxpayer funded or Charles funded or whatever security, which is fantastic. And
It'll have to be Charles funded.
I think it'll be Charles funded. So obviously they came to that agreement when it's obviously been in the works for some time. But I also think that Harry's been quite open that he's very close to Diana's side of the family and those cousins. And I think he probably wants to be able to spend more time with them too. But while I think it's great for Harry and the kids, I'm so scared for what Meghan is going to endure over there. It is an extremely classist society. And don't get me wrong, I love the UK. I actually love it. I'm obsessed with London. I spent a year there. But even as a white passing Australian, it was very classist. They very much saw me as someone from the colonies. And I'm nervous for the press. I hope she doesn't look at anything. But I'm also just nervous for how people in their circle, I don't want them to treat her as though she is other when she is not.
I mean, I think she just has to not engage in the sense that, if they remain private citizens, there's no requirement for her to show up and try and present as anything. And that way, maybe she can just make her own friends, at the school with regular mums who, probably expats. I know when we lived in Canada, I didn't want to, but we ended up making a lot of friends, a lot of expats, because that's kind of what you do. Even though you want to meet the local people. And so I hope that that's the case, that she can just steer clear of it. And it was interesting because the reporting says that they were moving to the UK for an extended period of time and they're keeping their house in Montecito. So I think everything on a trial basis, potentially.
Maybe it's an agreement. We'll do the kids' primary school in the UK. They can do high school in America, or who knows?
Switzerland or something.
Yes, I just want her to be okay because the racial element and the vilification from the tabloids was beyond horrific. And but they are better prepared for it now, I think.
Yeah, and I think if they've got some level of protection from the palace in the sense that, I still don't know if they will pay for their security. It just seems who has told Harry? Who's told William?
He must be. incandescent with rage.
But how about if the kids all end up going to school together? I was like, if they end up at the same school, like that would just be like we're cousins. So like we don't love cousin love. Like let them be together. I don't know that the security thing would have been worked out.
It would have to be Sophie. He would not take Megan back without security. He just wouldn't. The threats against her life were at the highest level. So the security has been worked out. I have no knowledge, but full confidence.
Okay, good, because I was worried. And and I just think, if she's a private citizen and, even from what I can see of all the covers in the UK, like they're all just like Meghan and Harry coming back. They're not like super shady. So I feel as though maybe they are getting that was a part of the negotiations, which is that the palace will use their press privilege to protect them and not throw them under the bus. But
God, I hope so. I don't want to see those kids' faces ever. They better not ever publish them. All right, well, lots to be distracted by. I too was distracted by what was happening in the news cycle this week. That research from the University of Melbourne was extremely powerful, as Sophie explained, the negative attitudes towards women, men that end up, being radicalized by terrorists, that commit violence against people of color, that commit violence against other men. It starts with devaluing and dehumanizing women, which is terrifying. And I'm just going to say, can we have a royal commission into the femicide and domestic violence crisis in Australia, please? Because it's at the point where it's not just the Sydney Swans. There were young boys as young as 13 and then boys at 17 in expensive schools, in less expensive schools, attacking other young women and in gangs, and it is just unacceptable. And so look, I thought to myself, I'm full of rage about that, but again, I need something positive. I need something to hang on to. So I distracted myself with this podcast called Black Magic Woman podcast. And I actually heard an ad for it on the radio in Launceston, which is wild. And I looked it up and I was like, I'm going to listen to this. Yeah. So the one I listened to was an interview with a young woman and it was about having a dual identity. And I thought I'm going to start there because I completely relate to that. And this young woman is a Wiradjuri country woman. So Wiradjuri country is actually where I wrote the farm. It's the central west of New South Wales. And it's quite a big, it had a big part to play in the invasion of Australia. And it's a very spiritual place. So she's half Wiradjuri and she's half Irish and I'm half Irish.
Wow.
As are you. So I enjoyed listening to her talk about that, but she talked a lot about what it's like to mask and try to code switch, which I think is probably a better term. Like I often say, I've tried to assimilate my whole life, but really I think it's masking and code switching. And she talked a lot about that. And one of the things that I thought was so important was that when she went to the University of Sydney, and she didn't want to go to uni, she said, I was, at 15, I was at school and the teacher put on rabbit-proof fence and her classmates all turned to her after that and said, you could have been taken. Like, how lucky are you didn't get taken? And which is so typically like blunt and rude of Aussie kids. And so she was like, well, I need to be in an environment where people understand me. And so she joined the Bangara dance troupe. So she just wanted to be a dancer. She was encouraged to go to university. And when she got to the University of Sydney, there was a male academic there who was also of First Nations heritage. And he really helped her be able to study, be able to understand that it's important for her to be there, that the education opportunity is going to be great for her. And he really helped her. She ended up doing her honours thesis at the university.
Oh, wow.
She ended up doing that on Indigenous communities, just incredibly incredible. What I'm trying to say is when you have diversity in your institutions that then can bring people through and empower us all with better knowledge and better education for everyone, that is a powerful thing for a society and we need more of it. So look, please go and listen to Black Magic Woman podcast. It was about a 30-minute episode. I was cleaning the kitchen. I was loving everything I was hearing. Let's be proactive and give our attention to the things that deserve to be uplifted. And let's also then keep our rage for the things that need to change. That's my message.
Well done, Jessie. Yeah. And I think we can be both things at once, which is, again, we need to be able to hold both of those things, which is, the heaviness in our hearts for the things that happen. And then, the light and joy for the things we're grateful for, which is something with the girls. There was unfortunately sad incident at the school yesterday and I was, the girls were sad, but at the same time, I'm like, well, let's try and think of some of the things that we can be grateful for. Otherwise, it all gets a little bit difficult, which actually brings me into my recommendation, which is just super, super light, which is so the recommendation is just to turn on a song you love. So
Yeah.
I'm lucky that one of my little girls is a Swiftie like me. We've had really early mornings this week. So it's like up 5 a.m. and, making lunches, trying to force them to eat breakfast. Unpacking the dishwasher, like doing all these things. And then my little one was like, let's put on a Taylor Swift song. I was like, okay. And then we've just been choosing a song back and forth. And by the end, like, dishwasher's unpacked, the lunch is made, like, I'm in a happy mood. And I was like, sometimes when it's just all a bit hard, you don't like, you're like, oh, I can't even bother to put a song on. But it changes everything. So I just want to say, like, if you're having like a difficult thing or doing a task, and see, I quite like to put a podcast on, and that's quite like independent. That makes me happy. But when we're all together, it's like, what is that? And so the songs help. And the other recommendation will be to watch out for a little surprise, because we have our first guest coming on the podcast, and we are super excited. We think you will love him, and that episode will drop midweek. So,
Oh my God. I'm so excited by that. But can I just say, yes, music is a massive uplifter. And also sometimes you realize you're doing a job. It might only take you 3 minutes, but you avoid it. But if you put on the song, the job will be done before you know it, and you'll be dancing around with your family. I have one last recommendation technically, because technically my Black Magic Woman podcast was my distraction. So that's how I've snuck in an extra recommendation before we wrap up. So again, similar, if music is your thing, play yourself songs, Sophia. I think that was just the best recommendation ever. But if you love to read, I have a book for you to read. It's called The Gardens by Emma Babington. Emma Babington is the sweetest, most supportive woman. She supports other women writers. She's just incredible. And this is her second book. And I'm just going to say, it's British. It's set in a gorgeous area outside London in like the gorgeous countryside, but it's about cults. It's so dark.
makes me happier is like a British crime. Like, it's so good. It's so, okay. I cannot wait to read it. And I don't know Emma, but I have sort of watched her online, and she just seems, beautiful and kind and so supportive. So great recommendation, Jessie.
It's so good. Like, if you like a bit of Leanne Moriarty or whatever, or Ali Lowe, who's another great Aussie, originally from Britain writer. But Emma Babington's book is it's just the mysteries drop. There's twists. I'm suspicious of everybody right now. I don't know who is managing this cult, what is going on, what the denouement's going to be, and I'm enjoying it so much. So thank you.
Oh my God, I'm going to use one of my Audible credits on it right now, because I want to know, are they using an English narrator? I'm just so obsessed with Narrator Live. Awesome recommendation, Jessie. And look, I know I didn't end up giving you guys all the tea on the Tasmanian tiger, but I will just quickly say the highlight is that someone sold a weird looking fox mounted on a wall on a board for £10. Then it was being re-auctioned, and True Savvy sort of auction participants went, that isn't a fox. Its teeth look odd. It was a Tasmanian tiger. Then it then sold for £60,000. And they were talking about how it was like the only one of its kind. So I was like, oh, this is amazing. Like, because I know that the Uni of Melbourne's been trying to figure out how to re-engineer, and I thought, oh, this would be good. Anyway, there's lots and lots of Tasmanian tigers stuffed in museums and whatever. So it's not that special, but it's special because they're not usually mounted on a board, just the head with the skin and the skull. Because they have ones that are fully stuffed, and then they have ones that are skulls. So it's quite amazing. And this person, imagine if you're the one who sold it for £10, you're now the one that's bought it for £60,000. Probably worth way more than that. I could go down a rabbit hole about our extinct Tasmanian tiger. And through misinformation too, because they said they thought that they would be like dangerous, and they culled them, but like research now shows that their jaws were quite weak and they wouldn't have done much damage at all. Anyway, the rabbit holes I've been down this week, Jessie, it's time to cut me off the internet.
I know. Don't start taxidermying your own stuff. I don't want to see in 5 years or 10 years like a little taxidermied Winnie on your shoulder. I do not need that in my life. Sorry.
Who did that? Someone did that. Oh, Abby Lee Miller. They taxidermied her dog.
Well, there's something not right about that, babe.
No, right. I don't want to be anything like Abby Lee Miller. Okay, on that note, I love you, Jessie.
I love you
and
too.
We'll talk soon. Bye. This podcast was recorded on the lands of the Yuggera, Turrbal and Lutruwita peoples. Wait, Are you still there?
We know you're still there. And while you're still listening, we have a quick request to ask you guys if you could please like and subscribe us wherever you listen to your podcasts. And we'd also love a 5-star review rating if you have enjoyed what you've listened to today. And follow us on Instagram at Sunday Lunch Reality Served.
We would absolutely love that. And remember, this is just for fun. We have no special knowledge. This is just what we're watching on telly with the rest of you. And by the way, I'm Sofia.makes on Instagram.
And I'm Jessica Mansell-Nara, author, on Instagram.
Thank you so much for hanging out with us. Bye.